Hey YouTube, what's up? My name is Bo, and I'm making a video about my deck, Livaan, Terror of the Sword Coast. It's a commander from Battle for Baldur's Gate. Livaan is a dragon shaman for 3, 1 and a 3. 1/3. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target creature gets +X+0 until end of turn, where X is that spell's mana value. My background is Sword Coast Sailor. Whenever this creature attacks a player, if no opponent has more life than that player, this creature can't be blocked this turn. So what this deck does is gets Livaan on the field, and then basically just plays a ton of instants and sorceries and artifacts and enchantments to pump her up, and then attack unblockably and kill people with commander damage. And occasionally we can get Livaan up to 21 power and one-shot them. It has happened a lot. So let's look at... I've divided the deck into a couple categories. The first one I want to look at is ramp. The best ramp card in this deck is definitely Guild Artisan. So we play Guild Artisan for 2. It pumps Livaan for 2 when we play it, so we can hit someone for 3 damage. It has, whenever this creature attacks a player, if no opponent has more life than that player, I create 2 treasure tokens. So since we can always attack the player with the most life, thanks to our background, this is great ramp for us. We're going to activate it basically every turn, and we're just going to be getting 2 treasure tokens constantly. Carnelian Orb of Dragonkind is another good one. Taps to add red, and it gives our commander haste when we cast her with it, and we're going to always be looking for that haste later in the game. Next, Seething Song is just a great 2 free mana, basically. You pay 3, you get 5 back, it pumps Livaan by 3. It's just a great start to an explosive turn where we're going to kill someone. Let's look at card advantage next. This is kind of the most important section of the deck because you always want to have cards in your hand. If you have no cards, our board is basically just a 1/3 dragon that does nothing. So we just always need cards. We just want more of them. To an extent, it doesn't even matter what cards we're casting. All we care about is the mana values, because that's what's giving Livaan power. So the first one, these are all basically, it's card draw. I mean, you know what it is. But there's 2 cool pieces in the deck I want to talk about. Thought Sponge has great synergy with Livaan. When Thought Sponge dies, you draw cards equal to its power. So we're going to play this and then cast some kind of instant when our opponents attack us to pump its power, using Livaan's ability, kill something that they're attacking with, and draw a bunch of cards. The other card I want to look at is Firemind's Foresight. This is just a great setup piece. It sucks that it costs 7 mana, but you're going to tutor for 3 instants, and we have a ton of instants in this deck. Basically, tutoring for CMC 1, 2, or 3 card will give us anything we need. If we need mana, we can go get Seething Song. If we want to kill someone, we can go get Temur Battle Rage. If we need a counter spell, there's a dozen, 1, 2 mana counter spells in the deck. So this card is fantastic. And it pumps Livaan by 7. The win cons is the next category I want to look at. Like I just mentioned, we got Temur Battle Rage, so we're casting spells, Livaan's power is getting up to like 8, 9, 10, and then boom, for 2 more mana, we cast Temur Battle Rage, Livaan gains double strike, and remember, she's unblockable, so we don't generally need to worry about this trample, but giving us trample is awesome because it means we can attack someone who we wouldn't attack normally, someone who we're not unblockable against. Anyways, Temur Battle Rage, you cast it and you kill someone. The next one I want to look at is Harmonic Prodigy. It's basically the same effect as Temur Battle Rage, but it's on a creature, so obviously it's not instant speed, so you can't take someone by surprise, but it sticks around for your next turn, etc. So I kind of like it more than Temur Battle Rage, but that's because my opponents usually don't really know what my deck is doing because I've been playing on Spell Table. If I was playing against people who'd played against the deck a lot before, this would quickly be identified as a huge threat and be removed. So I might come to prefer Temur Battle Rage in that case. Last, World at War. This is a extra combat step sorcery. The reason it's better than Relentless Assault, costs 1 more mana, is because it has rebound. So when you cast it, it exiles, and then at the beginning of your next turn on your upkeep, you can cast it for free. So this card is giving you 2 extra combats spread across 2 turns. Extra combats are great. If Livaan is a 10-3, you're going to be able to attack twice for 20 damage, probably kill someone. If you've really set things up properly, you can kill 2 people because you have 2 combats now, which is great because it's sidestepping one of the limitations of the Voltron strategy, which is that you typically can only kill 1 person at a time. And then, when you get to cast it again, you could maybe kill 3 people. It's awesome. Now, next, Two-Handed Axe. I just added this card to the deck. This is kind of an honorable mention because I haven't been able to play with it yet. But this card by itself will turn Livaan into a one-shot kill. The way it works is you cast Sweeping Cleave, which I'm not sure on the rules on this. I don't know if the mana cost of the card for Livaan's ability would be 3 or 2, but it doesn't matter because both are lethal. Let's say it's 2. We'll go with the smaller one. So you cast Sweeping Cleave, which pumps Livaan by 2, and then the effect is Livaan gains double strike until end of turn. So she's a 3/3 with double strike. Then you cast the artifact for 3, which pumps her up to 6. So now she's a 6/3 with double strike. So when she swings, she's going to deal 12 damage. And then you equip it to her so that her power will be doubled. So now she's a 12/12 with double strike, so she's going to hit someone for 24 damage. So as long as your background is on the board and you have 7 mana to cast this spell, you have a lethal attack. Just make sure you save 1 mana for Swan Song or whatever, in case they have a response. Speaking of responses, let's look at our interaction, which is the single biggest category. There's a lot of interaction in the deck. About half of this is counter spells because we pour a lot of resources into those explosive turns where we need to kill someone. We might cast 4 or 5 spells. We're going to sack a bunch of treasure tokens. So we're pouring all our resources into this one turn, into this one attack. And if they have a white mana up to Path to Exile Livaan or Teferi's Protection, then we get totally boned because we just spent all those cards and spent all that mana for nothing. So we want to have all these counter spells up to counter their protection. That's what a lot of these are. Some other one, Comet Storm, is just one of my favorite cards in the deck. It's so good. It's instant speed. You put 6 mana into it and you can hit 2 creatures for 3 damage or 3 creatures for 2 damage. It's gonna pump Livaan a lot. It's a mana sink, so it can be as big as you want. So if you want to deal 10 damage, you pour all your mana into it. You kind of wipe their board. It's awesome. It's an awesome card. And I have Lightning Bolt in the deck. It's great to just remove pesky creatures. I've even used it to adjust players' life totals. Remember, we can only swing unblockably into the opponent with the most life. And I have actually used it to adjust a life total so that the person I wanted to attack, who did not have the most life, then did. I hit the person with the most life for 3. And you might think that doesn't happen very often, but we know that Commander games have a tendency to kind of reduce life totals in round-robin fashion, so it happens more often than you would think. Force of Rage is awesome. This deck is really creature-hungry. Oftentimes we'll have no creatures but Livaan, and she attacks without vigilance, so we'll have no defenders. Politics are kind of our best defense, and making deals with people so they won't attack us, but Force of Rage is great. We can play it when we have no mana available by exiling a red card from our hand, create 6 power on the board. We can block some big threat that's coming at us, totally kind of stuff someone's attack. And then Mob Rule is just a fantastic card, but I'm going to talk about that in the next section. Actually, the next section I want to mention is just haste. Haste is really important. Turn 7, turn 8, turn 9, those big turns where tons of stuff is happening. Our only threat in this deck is Livaan. So if she's been removed somehow, we cannot wait a whole turn and do nothing by recasting her and having her have summoning sickness and not be able to attack. We just can't spend a whole turn doing nothing. So there's 6 cards in the deck that give us haste. You're going to see one every game generally, and they're always welcome. So good. Okay, our alternate win cons. Every deck needs to have a sort of diversity of threats. You can't just have one way to win the game, because oftentimes there's something on the board that is stemming that, whether it's a creature that is tapping Livaan down, or it's a ghostly prison that is really hampering our ability to attack someone. So Sprite Dragon is such a good card. 2 mana, it's a 1/1 with flying and haste, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So this thing is gonna very quickly become a chonky beater. It's gonna be like a 5/5, then a 6/6, then a 10/10. It's gonna block for you. You're gonna be able to swing over people's defenders and kill people. Because a lot of the times Livaan is, in the command zone, is going to cost 9 mana to recast, and that's just not going to happen, and you need another way to just hit someone, and that's what Sprite Dragon does. Krenko is just a go-wide strategy. He completely flips the deck on its head. We play him. If people correctly threat assess, he's gonna be a magnet for removal, because we can pump his power easily up to like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we really pour a lot of mana into it in cards, we could get him up to like a 20. And then he's going to create a huge army of goblins for us. And I have won a game where my opponents just did not play any interaction, and I played him on like turn 3 or 4, and the game was over within like 3 or 4 turns, because all I did was just create a ton of goblins and killed everyone. Chandra's Ignition is a really awesome card. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. So if we cast this while Livaan is a 1/3, it's going to deal 6 damage to each other creature and each opponent. Very oftentimes we won't have another creature, so it's not going to hurt anything on our board. It's going to kill everything on our opponent's board. It's going to deal 6 damage to our opponents. But the real golden pig kind of dream scenario here is we get Livaan's power up to like 15 or 20 and just like smash our opponent's life totals with a huge hit and kill them. So that's it. That's the deck. If you thought it was cool, leave me a comment and I might make another video. Thanks. Have a good one.